Any content provided by our bloggers or authors are of their opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, municipality, individual, or anyone or anything.
He's a surgeon. He's a 100-ton boat captain. He's a lieutenant on Seaside Heights Beach Patrol in New Jersey. He's a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. He's Dr. Michael Kachmar. Need answers to your medical questions? We have them. Listen in to hear latest on medical topics related to all that and more.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Michael Kachmar, and welcome to Scrubbing Up with Dr. Michael Kachmar. Today's date is February the 21st, the year of our Lord, 2023. We have Jeremy here today.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Actually, we have Jeremy in a couple angles here. There you are. Look at that. Jeremy's moving. Watch. Jeremy moves. Look, watch. Anyway.
It's the Jeremy cam.
Jeremy can. So, Jeremy, can you tell them, as far our podcast and people who want to get a hold of us, can you throw up our email address for them?
Yeah.
So this is a medical, political video podcast. If you guys want to get a hold of us, it's drkachmar at iCloud.com.
That's right.
You could also go to our, we have a beautiful webpage, especially with medicine, and that's Jersey Shore Foot and Leg Center.com. And
but then also, it's on that. It's got like a link to take you to our Facebook page, where all of our shows are archived, as well as on YouTube and Rumble. Then after our show,
Twitter and Twitch, we're on Twitter.
Yeah. But when we're done broadcasting, then our show goes up onto podcasts, and then you can find them on Spotify, iTunes, Yahoo, wherever fine podcasts are found.
Good. So we have our whiteboard today. So we're gonna go to our board today, and so we have three topics we're gonna talk about. One is a New Jersey woman, marijuana impaired driver, indicted in fatal crash. This was a couple weeks ago. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about...
if she was 13, nobody'd be talking about it.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, just give them a warning.
No, well, that's I don't know. If they were driving, it's a good point. In New Jersey, people don't get the joke, though, if they don't know New Jersey. 14-year-old, now here's one. It's a very sad case, 14-year-old suicide. We're going to talk about that because,
that's just
and then we have a new segment of show. It's called The View at 30,000 Feet. And the view at 30, that's going to be our new...
Does it have anything to do with what's circled beneath it?
No, yes.
Yeah.
But that's going to be our new segment, The View at 30,000 feet. So we're going to talk about this. So let's go. So the first thing we want to talk about is this case here. So let me set up the premise for you. This girl was driving, and we don't know the specifics of it. I mean, we're going to give the article here. And it's not... To me, the key is that she's been indicted. There was deaths involved in a car accident, and they said she was impaired with marijuana. So this just happened a couple weeks ago. I think it's a 30-year-old young girl, and they're saying that, again, she had marijuana on board. What happened is that she hit a vehicle, that vehicle hit another vehicle, and anyway, 2 people died. Yeah. And they brought her to the hospital, and what they did is they took blood from her. I guess they do now, if it's somebody who dies, they're going to take blood from you. They get a warrant, and they take blood from you, and they could see alcohol and now evidently marijuana, which I didn't know about. I'm learning. So this is an interesting case. So let's just go here. Let me get it here, and we're going to pull it up. So we're going to talk about this because this is something interesting. This is going to be a new trend in New Jersey. Just so you know, you have to be 21 to smoke marijuana, but if you're under 21, you could smoke it in public, and it's not illegal, it's not criminal, and it's not delinquent. So you'll only get a warning, and they don't even have to tell your parents. So basically, if you're 17, 18, you're driving, you could smoke. I guess you could smoke while you're driving. I mean, just like a cigarette. It's not against the law in New Jersey for a 17-year-old to be smoking on a park bench. The cops, it's not criminal, and it's not delinquent. You could go look at the statute, and the cops are not even allowed to tell your parents. So let's see what's going on here. Let me get this article before you.
When I was a kid, man, we lived in fear. That part of that fear was the cops telling our parents. That was the big thing when you were a kid. You didn't want anybody telling your parents because then you were going to get your hide tanned, or something like that. So you're going to get punished. You're going to get in trouble, and that was like the end of the world for a kid. But because the authorities were authorities. Your parents are authorities to you when you're young.
Yeah.
So a police officer catching you with marijuana? Oh,
No.
there was going to be some hell to pay when you got home.
Yeah, well,
Sure
in
thing.
New Jersey, just so people know, the police are not, by statute, are not allowed to tell your parents.
Yeah.
Actually, when they first came out, they would get go to jail.
My point is, though, by saying that, is that the police officers, part of that fear for a kid.
There is no fear anymore.
Yeah, because you've taken away.
There's no
you've
fear.
taken away the authority.
There's no fear.
figures.
Well, I want to give them some fear right now.
Yeah.
So let's go to my YouTube. Go to the iPad. So we're gonna. This is an article that came out. This was published February 16th by the Asbury Park Press. The our journalist here, I can't see her name, but anyway. So here's the key. Toms River. A Toms River woman who authorities allege was under the influence of marijuana when her car was involved in a multi-vehicle crash that killed two. Has what does it say here? Was indicted on vehicular. Was indicted on vehicular homicide and related charges. Ocean County prosecutor announced Thursday. So we won't get into her name here, but
this was written by Jenna Calderon.
Yeah. So this girl was indicted by the Ocean County grand jury on 2 counts of vehicular homicide. Two counts of vehicular two counts of vehicular homicide, 2 counts strict liability vehicular homicide, and 2 counts of assault by auto in connection with a motor vehicle crash that happened in Manchester Township. Now,
Danielle Bowker.
You don't say her
30 years
name.
old.
Don't say her name.
No, it's news.
Well, okay. So it doesn't matter though. At this point, I want to make the point. The key of this is that a person is being charged because they were tested positive for marijuana. That's the story here. So the specifics of the accident and who it is, that doesn't mean, that's part of it, and I'm very sad. I feel bad for these people who died, but I want to just go here and make not get into the weeds here. But here's the thing. Now look, so this woman sustained injuries. The woman who injuries from the incident, the accident, and was taken to community hospital, community medical center for treatment. I'm on staff there, by the way. I do surgery there all the time. While being treated, a blood draw was taken from the person pertinent to a court-authorized warrant. So they actually got a warrant. Now, if you refuse, they'll hold you down and take your blood. You know that?
Right.
I don't know if you know that. Do you realize that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
No.
if you're involved in a car accident like that, you say, I'm going to refuse. They will strap you down and take the blood. Okay? I just want to let you know. Yeah. All these woke kids, don't touch me, and I'm a thee, they, that. They'll strap your ass down, stick that needle in your arm, and draw the blood. The results showed that she had an active THC level of 7 nanograms with a metabolite THC level of 61 nanograms, indicating she was recent active user of marijuana at the time of the crash. Now, that's the allegation. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, but I get the numbers, but I mean, is that high? It doesn't tell you if it's high.
Listen, let's just listen to this. After reviewing the lab results, the state's this is state's psychopharmacologist. How do you like that guy? A woman rendered an opinion that at the time of the crash, this patient faculties were impaired due to the effect of marijuana intoxication, and that she could not safely operate a motor vehicle. Of course, the lawyer says, this is ridiculous.
Psychopharmacologist.
So let's be fair here. The article says that he's saying Carl Mall, who I know that he's a very competent and well-known attorney, saying that the eyewitness is disputed. But getting, and he says here it's a stretch. But what I'm interested is that this lawyer said that because there is no state statute on marijuana use while driving. Okay, listen to me now. So there's no state statute on state statute on marijuana use while driving, unlike alcohol, it is left up to an opinion. In this case, is that of the state's psychopharmacologist who's trying to say that the patient had smoked marijuana prior to the 7:15, the morning of the incident. And and it goes on to say that that's not
Well,
now
I mean,
she was
but he
taken
says-
to court. Wait a minute, she was taken to Ocean County Jail and released the result of New Jersey bail reform.
Whoa. We
What?
skipped over a bit here. Hold on a second.
What?
So it says here that he said that the lawyer said, which is not the facts. Marijuana was not smoked that day. I can tell you that. He says.
Doesn't matter. It
So
doesn't.
wait, no, but my
what's
point
your-
is, my point
Doesn't
is,
matter.
so
It
that
doesn't matter.
If what matters is, Mike,
Yeah, go
is that if you were smoking even the day before, those numbers will be in your
I don't know. I'm going to show you another article. So hang on. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, but I mean, doesn't that open up to that?
Say it again.
I mean, it seems to be that's what he was getting at. That you don't even have to smoke it that day, so long as if you did it last night, those numbers are still going to be in your system. So if you get pulled over or you're in an accident and they do have to take blood, like they did for Miss Bowker or whatever her name is, you could be up the river.
Well, here's the thing. You're absolutely right. Well, I'm going to show you another article here. So let me just make this. Let's put here. So let's go here. So let's go back to this to answer that question. So this is from it's called Reefer. This is just. I did a little research. I don't know how accurate this is, but here's the deal here. So read this here. So to date, however, so here's hundreds of workplace and police offices are searching for reliable ways to measure THC intoxication employees and drivers. Okay, so I'm just going to go right here. So, and you can read here. So after a patient inhales cannabis, Delta-9 THC rapidly enters the bloodstream. In fact, recent tests suggest THC is detectable in blood plasma 3 to 10 minutes after a person smokes cannabis. However, these Delta-9 molecules are quickly converted into numerous THC metabolites. So both the Delta-9 THC and its associated metabolites are fat-soluble, okay? And it keeps going here, but there's one fact here that I wanted to make a point here, is that, so scientists have begun comparing THC blood test results with urine samples to test these theories. Most results suggest that blood samples can accurately tell the active amount of Delta-9 THC, but only briefly. Urine tests, however, can detect THC for days or weeks.
Can you go up just a wee bit? Stop there. Both Delta-9 THC and its associated metabolites are fat-soluble. By contrast with water-soluble nutrients, fat-soluble compounds don't dissolve in water and quickly pass in a person's urine. Instead, cannabinoids like THC are stored in fat cells and only gradually released into the kidneys for excretion.
Excretion. All right. So, but that my thing here is I want to get to the other point here about the how reliable. So here, why would police ever use marijuana? While marijuana blood tests might give a more accurate reading of current intoxication, they aren't the most practical test to administer. Arguably, the reason, that's why they use urine test.
Yeah, it's easier to collect.
What's that?
It's easier to collect. That's why. However,
So here's an interesting thing. So blood tests are a valid form of cannabis screening. In fact, according to latest data, blood tests may give the most accurate picture of a person's THC intoxication. Some studies have also found that blood serum tests measuring between 7 and 10 nanograms per milliliter could legitimately be considered DUI. Now, just read. Now, again, I don't know these stuff. Just remember, this is just our.
In a previous show, we actually touched on this a little bit. Like, if you remember how we were talking about all those cards, and there'd be a smoke cloud around it. So, like, at what point does that become on the same level as drinking while under the influence? If you're smoking while under the influence, I mean, it should carry the same weight.
Well, that's what they're doing. That's why they're charging her.
Yeah.
You don't have to be guilty of an infraction driving. Let me just finish this point. However, listen to this. There are many complexities surrounding cannabis blood tests. For starters, it isn't easy to collect these samples on the road or in work environment. Also, since blood tests only seem to be accurate about 1 hour after taking cannabis, they may have a short window of opportunity. Despite these considerations, that doesn't mean efforts or employees can't legally request cannabis blood samples. So here's the thing is interesting. So considering most states have no minimum THC thresholds for DWI conviction, cannabis consumers face serious risks if they drive with the slightest trace of THC in their system. With few exceptions, police can charge a driver with marijuana DUI no matter how little THC is in their test if their driving behavior suggests or implies intoxication. See that? The penalties drivers will face for a cannabis DUI conviction are severe and not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, but how
Go regular. Go.
What's the coverage of that decision then? Is it in New Jersey or
she just got charged? I'm just telling you, she got charged.
Yeah.
Well, it is. The reason why I brought this up, she got charged 2 weeks ago in Ocean County. She's being charged, Jeremy, for heavy duty stuff. Let me just go back here. So what was your question? Is it happening? Is it real?
No.
Who's giving us?
It's spam.
Oh.
It's spam.
Yeah, let me just go ahead. Let me just make a point. You asked me, don't put the thing on, but just let me make this. So this woman, it was lightning outside. So she was 2 counts of. So this woman was charged, indicted. Follow me now. 2 counts of vehicular homicide.
Right.
2 counts of strict liability vehicular homicide. And then 2 counts of assault by auto in connection with a motor vehicle crash.
Yeah.
Okay? That's heavy duty stuff. So now let me make a point. I want to make a point.
I know,
don't get out of this. I didn't want you to,
all right. Well, I wanted to know if that other page we were reading from, is that this state, or was that just a generalized?
That's just
thing?
a general article about.
So like,
no,
yeah,
words in the whole.
Yeah, but that's my point.
What?
Is that covered through across the country, or does that go from state to state?
What are you talking about?
The level of THC. What
they just said they don't have any. No,
you know.
let me go back because you didn't understand what they said. Hang on a second. It was.
Well, you brought up that other website, and I'm just trying to figure out if that website, anything that they say there, because we started at the beginning that not a lot of people know what the laws are in New Jersey about these things. Does that cover New Jersey, or is that
New Jersey doesn't have any? New Jersey, I don't believe have any specific what do you call it? Criteria. Yeah. This article here is saying that let me go find it. You just keep looking. What I think it's saying is that no state has any specific levels that they're going to consider. So this is a new thing. This is what I'm saying. This is a new thing. So let me just find out here where I had that. So So your question again is how valid is it? And they're using it. Let's first of all, they are using it because they did it on this patient. I mean, it's this woman, okay? And so that's number one. And question is, what is, how accurate is it? And the states
also though with the new legalization of marijuana and all of that. I mean, these things I think should be posted up somewhere. People need to be educated about.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, well, I know, but I mean, that's great for those that watch our show. I'm talking about the rest of the country. I mean, this stuff is legal now. There's kids that need to be informed, adults that need to be informed about exactly what the extent of their usage can be. You legalize something, and there's no rules yet. Everybody's driving with it. Everybody's being reckless with it. But now, when you come up with these rules, I don't see them posted anywhere. I'm finding this out just as you are right now. Why don't we all know this already? Why isn't this more well known or well acknowledged by people? Because then, at least, you only have yourself to blame then for smoking this stuff and then going driving the next day.
I don't think there's any consensus with regard to the states.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like even with this testing, how accurate it is, and what does it really mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I know they could test your urine. This is the first time that I've seen people being tested with their blood.
Yeah. I you know, if they're going to be doing this, let us know about it. You know, like the kids even know about how much they can get away with stuff. I'd like to know what will cause these things to happen to me if I'm smoking. You know, it's legal. So
Right.
what are the rules? Where are the rules? Drinking, I could tell you like the back of my hand what you can have and what the restrictions are and all of that.
Right.
But if there's a new drug that's legalized in town and I still am guessing and you yourself are still guessing as to what the rap sheet's going to be for you if you do it, you know? I'd like to know that. I'd like to know what I'm risking by doing it outside or doing it in a car or on a boat.
So here, let me go back to this one article here. So to answer your question, I understand what you're saying.
Whereas drinking.
So right here, now this is the attorney representing this individual. It says additional Mall, I think that's how you pronounce his name, said that because this is what the defendant, who is charged, this is the lawyer representing her.
Yeah.
And he's saying that because there's no state statute on marijuana use while driving, unlike alcohol, it's left up to an opinion. In this case, it's that of the psychopharmacologist who is trying to say that this patient had smoked marijuana prior to the accident. And
right, but then it follows, Mall said, and I'll read it again, which is not the facts. Marijuana was not smoked that day, I can tell you that. Now, when you said that each state doesn't have the laws for this yet, you're right, and that's what I was talking about. We don't know what the consequences.
Get out of this.
We don't know what the consequences are.
Well, I can tell you right now. Here's the deal. Number one is she's charged, okay, and he's going to have to fight it. Now, whether or not, I tell you what, if she didn't smoke that day, it was 3-4 days before, and she still has those levels in the blood.
Sure.
That opens up another whole can of worm. How long? When can you smoke? The other article I talked about, I showed, says, you got to be so careful. So what if they just do a urine test on you? Like I know the urine, you could show marijuana on board days and days after. So let me talk about the law with alcohol, just okay? Because we're going to now talk about how this matters. Follow me on this one, okay? You're driving down a road. You have a green light. You have an intersection. There's a green light. Yeah. Okay? Mm-hmm. There's a guy who's drunk on his ass, and he blows through a red light. You got a green light. He's got a red light. He comes right in front of you. You T-bone him. You kill him. Mm. Okay? You're sober. You're not high. Whose fault is it? Will you get charged for vehicular manslaughter? No. He blew through a red light. There was cameras and eyewitnesses. Okay, mm-hmm. He went through a red light. He's drunk on his ass. Right? You kill him. You're not going to get charged. Right. It's an accident. Right? Yeah. Now, same scenario. He's drunk. He passes a red light. You got the green light, but you're intoxicated. You're going to get charged for vehicular manslaughter. Right. Exact same scenario. Everything's the same. Yeah. You say, well, why? Now, if you're high on pot or have marijuana on board, you're going to get charged. Now, remember, a lot of times they can't do a sobriety test because you got a broken leg after the accident. So what now? In a case like that, they're going to take you to the hospital. They're going to get a warrant, take blood from you, and if you're sober and no drugs, you're fine. But now, if you got marijuana on board. And again, I don't know when you did it, how long, but the assumption is going to be now that you were impaired. Right. Now you say, oh, no, well, it happens. They're indicting her. She got indicted. Yeah. And there was another girl about 6 months ago in Ocean County was sentenced for go ahead.
Well, but she was not, say the lawyer's right, and she didn't smoke today. She smoked yesterday or whatever. Okay, the fact that she didn't know, should she be indicted?
There's no. Well, I can tell you right now. There's no.
Ignorance isn't an
Nope.
excuse.
Nope.
Here's a different scenario for you. Okay, this is
I
along the
understand
lines
that.
of something that you'll understand.
That's
better.
why we're bringing this up. It's crazy.
Hear me out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what if a patient, okay, that went under the knife and they came out. Now they've been slogged down with anesthesia and the medication you sent away with them. They shouldn't be operating anything, any kind of machinery, anything at all. So you give them the warning paper that tells them about that, and they sign it, but they don't really read it, and they go off and they drive home, okay, and they get into an accident. It's not your fault because you had them sign all of that, right? But they didn't read it. All right. So is it their fault then? Yeah, it would be, because they didn't, the information was there, but they disregarded it. In this case, there's no information for this woman. And she thought, well, I smoked yesterday. It's safe for me to drive today. Okay. Because nobody told her. Nobody educated her. Nobody educated anybody as to what marijuana can do now that it's legal. So now this horrible situation happens. Right? And where are we now? This woman's in a whole lot of trouble because she had zero information about what she was using and what she could do and the timeline afterwards.
Well, let's ask. We could ask.
Do you get my point?
Yeah, sure. And we could also ask the family of the two dead people. What they think about her.
But that
Listen,
would be
I don't want to get. I don't want to listen.
That would be the hard left answer to that, buddy.
I don't want to get into the mud here and go down a rabbit hole. You're absolutely right.
No, but
this is why we're talking about.
This is zero education.
This is
about the things that they're using.
Listen. People need to start getting educated. If you're gonna own a gun, you're gonna drive a car, smoking pot. What about? I give you great. How about this? What about all people who legally use marijuana medically?
Right.
They got cancer.
Right.
And then they go out and drive. And they smoke it every day, but maybe they didn't smoke it today, but they go into the deli to get a sandwich. Right. And some guy walks out in front of them.
I had to be
listen, and runs them over.
When I got my marijuana license for medicinal marijuana, because I have diabetes and my diabetic neuropathy, I couldn't sleep at night. The pain is so bad in my feet.
Yeah, we understand it's necessary.
No, but here's my point is I had to go through like stringent questions and all of that.
Were you told not to drive?
Oh, I don't drive anywhere.
No, were you told not to drive?
Of course, yes.
Well, then people are getting educated.
But here's the thing. But that was under very special situation.
Don't hit the table.
Where I am,
Listen, whether or not she listen, I don't want.
How are you going to get educated if there's no teaching?
Listen,
if the teachers aren't there to tell you what this to do. If the state's not there, they legalized it. It's their responsibility.
Right.
They legalized it. That's who is to blame here. If they're not going to educate the people when they legalize something, they're to blame.
All right. Well, we're educating everybody. You're going to get indicted.
That's not on us.
You're going to get this is.
And just so you guys know, remember the disclaimer at the start of our show.
What'll happen is this is what happens. How things get. It's. I don't know if it's on the state. Yeah, I tell you what, I do agree because the state's pushing marijuana. The governor in this state's letting kids smoke marijuana under 21. Right. They're making it saying it's no big deal. We're not going to tell your parents. You could smoke it out in public.
So where are the public service announcements that are telling us what our limits are to that?
And I could go, and I'm going to go a little bit before we go into our next segment. Right? Yeah. So my point is that now people. This is going to be interesting to find out. First of all, we're going to see if they drop the charges on her.
I got to tell you, Nancy Reagan, when she got the gumption to start putting up a war against drunk driving and stuff like that. We had PSA commercials playing almost 24/7 on any channel you turn to. There would have been one. Don't do drugs. Don't drive drunk. Mothers Against Drunk Driving. All of that jazz, because they needed to educate the people and keep it and drill it in. All right, especially these teens, because these teens are the ones that are getting alcohol from their dad's liquor cabinet, and they're going partying and driving, and then they're crashing and dying.
All right.
Okay, but when the government or the state or whoever wanted to do something about it, there were public service announcements that educated the people. So if you did do it, you're the blame. That's it.
Yeah.
It's been everywhere.
Right.
But that is not
Well, it's
happening
gonna,
now.
listen. If you go on,
Let me just say that. That is not happening now.
I tell you what. If you want to learn about it, there's plenty. It's on the CDC, and I think it's tons of it.
That's like I didn't know how the toothpicks work
right,
because I didn't read the instructions.
Well, listen. What's going to happen is more and more people are going to be indicted, and it'll get more people going to see the news, their friends, their relatives, and I'm just telling you right now. It's what the law is, and they're indicting these people when they're not, So let me just go to the. I want to show you. It talks about marijuana now because we're on the marijuana thing. So here's it because I'm a surgeon now. How this article came. This is multiple articles are coming out. So this one here is how marijuana can affect your surgery.
Yeah, this is good. Let me hear this.
So basically, what's happening here?
Look at that picture.
Yeah.
Bring that down, guys. Put that to memory.
Yeah,
Holy smokes!
So smoking has the same carcinogens. As cigarettes, okay? Marijuana has the same carcinogens if you smoke it. But the point is here, it's interesting, the research that is showing that marijuana use, again, how much, it affects you during surgery. It says it's limited, but it's what they're starting to see, here's the thing, too. Marijuana is not legal. Unfortunately, research on top of marijuana use is in effect during surgery is limited. That's because the federal government, listen to me, the federal government still classifies marijuana as a Schedule I substance. Yeah. It's not legal federally.
But it says, let me read this, okay? It says synthetic marijuana in particular is unregulated and poorly understood, and the contents are highly variable. For these reasons, it is impossible to predict how it might interact with anesthesia. Therefore, you should not use synthetic marijuana in the days or even weeks before your surgery.
Basically saying here you should not.
But that first line actually adds to my argument. If this stuff is, hey, don't leave. I got to finish rereading that. If this stuff is how they say, unregulated and poorly understood, they only have themselves to blame for that. That needs to be educated, and that needs to be more understood for the people.
Right. Well, we're educating them right now.
It's not our responsibility, though.
Basically, well,
that's my point. The city, the state, the government has to do that, not us.
Right.
We're just pundits.
So use of marijuana, especially immediate before surgery, can change the dose needed for sedation. It adds a lot. It reduces bone healing. A lot of anesthesiology buddies of mine are not happy with the whole thing. You could go back to me, Jeremy. Yeah. So I'll show you another one here. And you make some good points. It's all about education, but what's going to happen is that you're gonna get civil suits. People are gonna start suing. I think one day whoever's selling the marijuana, they're gonna get sued. If you bought, so let's just say this woman got the marijuana legally at a dispensary, because she's smoking it, and she's gonna sue them because she could say, I didn't know I couldn't drive. I didn't know I smoked it 2 days ago. You didn't tell me.
Why weren't pamphlets handed out
So
when I bought it?
So now, if she bought it at a New Jersey dispensary, make a good point. Yeah. Then she could have a countersuit, or the people that died, the family, could sue where she got the marijuana from. Yeah. They want to go after gun manufacturers because who sold the gun. They want to go after the companies who sold what's it called? They went after cigarette companies because of marijuana cigarettes, and they went after the pharma companies who made the Percocets. Well, here you go.
This is what I'm saying, man. It doesn't seem right, and it's like showing a child who's never seen fire before. Okay, you show them the fire, but then you hand them the fire, right? But you give them no education as to it. What do you think they're going to do to it? They're going to touch it, aren't they?
Show me this.
They're going to touch it, and they're going to get burned.
Right. I'll show you another one here.
If you don't educate them.
Right. Well, here's another article here, and we talked about this. And I'm just going to hit these real quick. Cannabis linked to increased alcohol consumption. So it's not a gateway drug. Yeah. What's happening is people who smoke pot have a tendency, according to several articles that I read, more inclined to drink alcohol.
Why do you need to? If you're smoking cannabis, why do you need to drink alcohol?
I don't know, but this is what the studies are showing. Yeah, you get out of here, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's just.
I just want to I'll give you one more.
And that's reprehensible at that point. And then those people deserve to be thrown away just for their own good.
Well, it's sweet. It's a gateway drug. I don't care what you say, and a lot. Now, I love this one here. So back here, let's go back to the. So they're pushing this in the minority. Look at this article here. I love this. Now you got to throw race into it. Yeah. Most U.S. voters back cannabis equity measures as well as legalization. And it goes on here. They're trying to say that most United States wants to legalize marijuana, and whoever was locked up, let them go out there, kumbaya, give it to everybody, and it goes on and on and on and on. In the meantime, you're going to be smoking this stuff, and how long are you impaired? Now, you drink alcohol. I can tell you this: you drink alcohol, right? No. When you do drink alcohol, the alcohol leaves your system pretty quick. I don't know. I doubt very much more than 24 hours. Now, like I have a captain's license. We're not allowed to drink, I think, within 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. But but marijuana now, we don't. How long does it stay in you? And especially if you.
I've taken. This is my own experience, so I'm gonna tell you, and it answers your question. I've taken a gummy or a chocolate bar that had that's infused, right? And I took it, say, early one night. I was still high well into the afternoon the next day.
Well, you can't drive then, maybe.
Yeah, but that's because you don't know how potent these things are. You have to try, or someone's got to tell you. Oh, you got to break that one.
So here's it. It's time for the United States government to legalize recreational marijuana while giving back to the communities. Who are affected. In the meantime, if you you read this stuff here, and then I could show you 20 studies that are showing that marijuana is dangerous. It causes heart disease. It causes problems with surgery, and now you're going to also be driving and you're impaired. And if you're impaired, could you be the cause of an accident? You know what I'm saying? And so it's getting crazy. It really is really crazy. You could go get rid of this. So my point about the whole thing is it started with, if we look at the whiteboard here, this woman was indicted for vehicular manslaughter, and question when she smoked it, when she didn't. But they're going to test you if you get in a car accident and somebody's dead, gets killed. You're going to be tested. You're going to take your blood. And it looks like now in New Jersey, for sure, they're going to test you for alcohol and marijuana. Yeah. And if you come up positive with marijuana or alcohol, here's the thing. The level of alcohol, we know. That's written into the statute. Yeah. But the marijuana, it's going to be some psychophysio-pharmacy therapist who's going to make the determination. Yeah, so, that's the way it is. It's pretty crazy. So I'm going to go. We're going to talk about the next thing here on the whiteboard, and that's you okay, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just going to hand you this.
Oh yeah, let me have that. So the next, thank you, Jeremy. So the next thing we have here is this 14-year-old girl. This is a really tragic thing. She committed suicide, and the interesting thing about this is that I'm going to find it here in my computer. This was at Central Regional High School, which I went to school there, and this had to do with bullying, and it was a very, very sad case. And I'm not going to really get into the specifics of the case, but so here it is here, and I'm going to pull it up here for you guys. So just give me a second here, and we're going to pull it up here. So what happened here is this is a 14-year-old suicide, the video that was posted in the dangers of sharing graphic content. And basically, this happened in, let me just get rid of this here. This happened February 3rd. 14-year-old girl was assaulted in school, and that's Central Regional High School. It was shared on media, and then she committed suicide. And she was jumped, and it goes on and on and on. So it's a terrible scenario, and there's a lot of things that are going on here. I think the people who supposedly attacked her have been charged. I think the superintendent decided to step down. So it goes on and on and on. It talks about social media, and all about the content. And you could read this article here, but this was a child in New Jersey, and so let me make a point here. First of all, what is my expertise? I went to this high school. I went to high school. Jeremy, can you close the door, please? And I also, I know about bullying. I mean, I've seen it. And the other thing is, I know about suicide. Now, my stepdaughter committed suicide. It was many years ago, and I've had people that I've known personally, very, very close to, at least 4 or 5 that committed suicide. So I think I have a good perspective on suicide and bullying and the school. So let me make a couple points here about suicide. Start with that. Right. I don't think anybody could make a relationship to one thing caused the suicide. All the people that I've seen, most of the time I didn't know it was going to happen, and whether or not this precipitated it or aggravated it or added to it, there's a possibility. But cause and effect, you have to be very careful about that. Yeah. Okay? In other words, are you going to charge these girls for murder? They assaulted her, no doubt about it. But suicide is a very complex thing. And again, I'm not saying about this case per se, but you can't start going down the road and say, like, you have an argument with somebody, Jeremy. Yeah. Say you have, I don't know, your friend at work, and you call him all kinds of names, or even you bully him. You've been bullying him, and then he goes and hangs himself. Okay, it's serious, and they can't blame you for that. I mean, were you an aggravating scenario? But is there blame? I mean, you talk to the psychiatrist, you talk to the psychologist. Okay, people. It's a complex reason why they why people kill themselves. All right, and a lot of times they don't tell their friends, their families that they're going to do it. And so, why is that door still open? Can you close that?
Somebody's behind it. That's why.
Oh, yeah. So, and that's what happens. So, you have that scenario going on where, you can't say that it's a cause and effect. Now, so that's number one. I've seen people. I've been very close to people who.
You gotta put yourself. I see when I hear these stories. This is what I do. I put myself in that 14-year-old girl's shoes. She's coming out of COVID years. Okay, identity stolen, time stolen away, socialized time. When you could be socially with people. Then she finally gets everything back. My son was the same way. Excited. Wanted to do everything, every single thing. And then you find out you're just being bullied and bullied and bullied to the point where you feel like you've got nowhere else to run. There's no safe place for you. And it seems like it's going to go on forever because when we had the lockdowns, to those kids, that felt like forever.
Yeah, but you know what, Jeremy, and I understand that, but again, it's a very dangerous road.
That should open people's mind. My point in saying all this stuff, I know. You're like, whatever.
No.
But to that 14-year-old girl,
no, that's not what I'm saying at all.
The bullies need to see the impact.
Right.
Maybe when these 14-year-old girls are passing away, the bullies that caused that should never be allowed to forget it.
No, yeah, I understand, but here's the thing. Be very careful when you say cause. Okay? I had people who killed themselves. Mm-hmm. The parents blame themselves. Other people blame themselves. There's people, there's no rhyme or reason. Yeah. Okay? There was no bullying, and they still killed themselves. Okay? You can't say, I'm telling you right now.
There's something, though. There's something that caused them.
No, there's no. There's you go talk to no.
When I was a kid, hear me.
No,
out.
no, whoa, stop. No, stop. Hard stop here. No, listen. There's something in their brain. Okay. There's not because here's the thing, Jeremy. If bullying caused people to kill themselves, everybody who'd be bullied would be killing themselves.
No, not necessarily. Everybody's
Why
different.
not? Okay, everybody's different, but it's not the one.
When I was young, I had problems and I had issues, and I was in a group with people who had their brothers suicided or other things. They had attempted suicide, and I was in that group, and we talked about these things all the time. What made them feel like that way, and everything like that. There's always a reason. I don't care what anybody says. I've spoken with these people about it. I know what's going through their head because I was in and amongst them. I was told I was emotionally disturbed because I had family issues at the time and stuff like that. Right. but that was my thing. I didn't go to suicide, but then again, that was my thing. But so many in my group, that suicide was all around their lives. And we had to talk about that, talk through it constantly. There's always a reason, always.
Well, listen, I tell you what, I disagree. Sometimes there's no reason at all. They're in their mind, okay? I've seen people who have money, have a great family, and they still kill themselves. So my point is that we could argue.
That's
listen,
not a reason to stay alive.
No.
No.
But there's but here's the thing, Jeremy. When you start going down that road of placing blame, okay? Now, I think that the girls who are bullying and the people who bully need to be addressed. And people who are suicidal, it's just like when you talk about people who are born. Some people are born suicidal. They have it in their mind. It's in their back pocket. It's a way to get out of things, okay? My point is, be very, very careful when you could say, yeah, there's always a reason. In somebody's mind, they justify killing themselves.
Yeah.
Okay? So there is a reason in their mind. That doesn't equate, though, that the outside extremity, the outside stresses specifically do that. You can't say one did the other. You can't say that these girls bullying.
I didn't say that.
But no, that's what you're implying, though.
No, it's not, because I gave you a whole laundry list of
okay,
reasons.
but in this
took her to
situation,
that one moment.
In this situation, did those girls directly cause her death?
Not those girls, but an accumulation of all the other things I said.
Right. And her mental,
including those girls.
Right. And like I said, my daughter who passed away, she started when she was 13, 14 years old. Right. Wanted to kill herself. She was a what they call a manic depressant. Yeah. Bouts of euphoria and depression. She was sick. She had medication. Yeah. She had a diagnosis. So a lot of people are mentally ill.
So, yes,
okay,
I agree.
And so there's a whole thing. Now, there's depression, situational depression. And, again, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a doctor, though. But my point is, I want to make it about these cases here. So one about suicide. Be very careful when you attach one thing to the next. That's all I'm saying. Because I've had the four people that I know, like say my colleagues that I worked with. Yeah. I could tell you right now, I didn't see anything coming. I didn't see, there was no bullying, there was none of that. These guys looked like they were happy, and what was going in their mind.
See, I think what we do this a lot on this show. We argue different points from different angles, but we're usually both right. Yeah, there are going to be people that really need help. They're going through a lot of stuff in their head. Maybe they're depressed. Maybe they're all of this. Right. But then there are other people who reasons bring them to what they're, they need,
right. So
but irregardless of how they get there, they all need help.
Right.
That's the point.
So the next thing is about bullying. So bullying is a real, problem. I actually, let me see if I had it. I went and got a definition of bullying. I tried to look it up, and do you know what the definition of bullying is, Jeremy?
You have it there, Webster's? Yeah.
There is a definition of bullying, actually, and
I'm rubber, you're glue.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that these girls were being bullied or bullying, and it's unfortunate, but we've had that, and you got to work on that. You got to make sure, and I think a lot of schools are doing a good job at that. But let me go back to the big thing here. So what happened here, though, is that supposedly while this was going on, it was videotaped. So everybody has their phones in school, okay? This is what I wanted to make a point. Everyone has a camera, so they're walking around the school. And they could post this stuff, and that inflames things, right? It inflames things, and it's terrible. So, and that supposedly was part of the reason why, and we hear that about people who commit suicide, we talk about cause and effect, trigger. Their name and their picture is all over the internet, and that seems to be a triggering thing.
Each person who filmed that should be suspended or expelled.
Well, here's the thing. I would say this. I'm going to make a point. I don't think any of these kids. There should be no cell phones in school. Now, I have parents tell me, "Oh, Dr. Kachmar, we want the kids to have the phones because if there's a shooting, we could call them. If there's an emergency." But I think maybe
generations of children lived without phones.
Right. So one of the things I think would be a good idea is to have no cell phones in the school, none whatsoever. All right, none whatsoever. That's one alternative, one way to maybe make a difference, and then you can move on from there.
That's a full-time monitoring process, though.
Well, you have metal detectors. Everybody gets checked. No guns, no phones. That's it. If you get a phone, you get suspended for a week, or you get fined. You can end it real quick. It's not that hard to do. I don't think it is. It's will. And I don't know if the parents want that, though. So with this situation here, it's really sad. But suicide is increasing. And I was going to talk about, because we're getting late now in time, but I was going to talk about, did you see the studies that came out that saying all these young girls are so depressed that in this United States, it's a huge amount of young girls who are very, very depressed. And I don't know if you saw that. There was a bunch of studies that just came out and, articulating.
Now you throw in all of the dysphagia stuff that's going on with transgenderism.
Here,
and
put
all
this.
of
Put
that.
this here. Put me. Yeah.
These girls don't know who they are.
So look here. This is an article out of the what do you call Guardian. It says, and there's a ton of articles here. American teenage girls are experiencing high levels of emotional distress. Why? And you go into the whole argument here. They're getting more distress. There's all kinds. They did a CDC did a study. If you want to bounce back to there, and they talked about 17,000 students, and they basically the girls are having a rough time. See it there, Jeremy?
Yeah.
And it's sad. We don't have to. I just think it's a good reference here. It's multiple articles out there, and what they're saying is that why are they depressed? Well, first of all, I don't know. Are the drugs having something to do with it? I don't know. Is it the bullshit on the internet? I mean, look at it. Look at the lying, the politicians, the lie, all the stuff that's going on. Now we got people talking about World War III. The kids, they go to high school. Like, talk about the schools. All the schools, the gymnasiums. There's all the advertisement. The Tom's River here is an orthopedic group. It's called the Rothman Institute. So now they got the Rothman Sports Complex. So your school that you're going to is being pimped out. That's got to affect you. You watch a baseball game, a football game. There's a million commercials. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Everything is that takes an effect over the years. This is 20, 30, 40 years. Spielberg comes out with a Christmas movie, and 3 months before the movie comes out, there's a million toys that they hawk you for.
Sure. Yeah,
I mean, come on. This stuff eventually, the hypocrisy in this world, and then now you have strong drugs that they're pushing on the kids. They can smoke all they want. That this marijuana is whacking their brains. This stuff is heavy duty.
You know what though? It's good for some things, but if you've got depression, it might help your depression in the wrong way. You may get more depressed because you're on pot.
Alcohol's a depressant, by the way.
Alcohol's a depressant.
All right. So listen, how much time we have, Jeremy? Because we don't
have much at all. Yeah.
All right. So listen, let me just go. Let's talk about the last thing here. But before I just want to cap on that on suicide.
100%.
Listen, I've had a lot of people in my life commit suicide who I know personally. I dealt with them. I was talking to them, like several of them the day before.
Yeah.
Okay. And my own stepdaughter. And I tell you, I don't take it lightly. And I've been searching for years and years to try to get an answer of why these people do what they do.
Yeah.
And and I have one father who he blames himself, and I tell him it's not your fault. You didn't cause it.
Unfortunately, the whys and wherefores, sadly, go to the grave with them. For many cases, and
right.
It's what we can do whilst they're still alive. That's why you gotta love your kids. You gotta make sure you have dinner nights and all of that. Make sure you show that you're giving them attention to the things they're liking in school. If they're in the plays, go see the plays. All of that stuff.
Right. I'm gonna tell you one story. And that's
what parents can do to battle this, to show them that,
Right. But I don't want to give
different way to live.
I don't want to give any false hope. There's a movie called Girl Interruptus. And I have some colleagues who are psychiatrists, and they tell me the only way to stop some of these people from killing themselves is put them in an institution, and don't let them.
We don't have those anymore.
No. So let me go back to this one. After I had my situation, I was getting counseling.
Yeah.
I was very distraught, obviously, And I was going to and my psychiatrist buddy of mine, he says, Mike, just go get some counseling for a while, and it did help. So I'm sitting there, and there's this woman, and so I go in there, and he says to the woman, tell Kachmar your story. Because, I'm thinking, oh, it's my fault. Could have, would have, should I? Maybe I called her, whatever. You start thinking a million things. But, and everybody's like, you couldn't do shit. You did so much. Okay.
You can't do shit.
So the woman is telling, so here's the story. Her kid is in college, right? It's freshman, whatever, it's second year. And she has a bout of depression, takes a bunch of pills, tried killing herself. She failed, okay, but she tried to commit suicide. Yeah. They bring her home. They live up here in near Bayhead. I think Bayhead, or maybe up a little bit further, Spring Lake. I think it might have been Spring Lake, okay? And she's there, and she's got a psychologist. She's taking some meds. She's doing pretty good. And her and her mother take a walk every day, okay? So so they're getting ready to go, and as they're walking out the door, this is maybe when they still had phones, like in the house,
Yeah.
All right, and because I think the phone rang, so she goes, "Let me get this phone." Maybe she had a cell phone, but we still, I don't know, about 10 years ago, we still had, believe it or not, we still had phones in the house.
Yeah, we did.
So she goes, "Go ahead, go start without me." So she walks out. Now, before they walked out, the mother talked to the daughter, and this was the mother was on a chair, and the daughter knelt down and said, "Mom, I'm fine. Everything's good. I feel good. Okay, don't worry. Everything is fine." Okay, this is the story that's being told to me. You understand? Daughter looked at mom right now and said, "Everything's fine, Mom. Everything's great. I'm okay. Don't worry about it." So phone rings. She walks out the door, the daughter. She's on the phone. Now, just so happened, it wasn't planned, but just so happened at that time, the train was coming down. There's trains,
Yeah.
She walked right in front of the train, killed herself. Now, this is a story. This is a real story. And you go back and you could look at, this happened quite a few times. Actually, just this 3 months ago in Spring Lake, one of the workers there killed himself with a train in front of one of the, I don't know, he works in one of the restaurants there. And he's from Ireland, I think. All right, just went in front of the train. So my point is that she told her mother 5 minutes before that everything's okay. And that kind of made me, look and think and say, really, do you ever really know?
Yeah.
And they basically, sometimes they lie to you too, and they tell you everything's okay. So it's a really complex thing, Jeremy. Of course, you don't want to, traumatize these people, or what's the word I want to use, bully them, or put them in a bad situation. I think the big thing is we need help. We need to have very aggressive, very transparent, very, what's the word I want to use, available health for people who are depressed.
Yeah.
And we got to try to, do the best. And I don't know whether or not we should have institutions and throw them in there. That was a no-no, But my point is, it's a real, all those people, look at all these people who are dying of drug overdoses.
I think the institutions, we're coming from a bygone age. That age of the institutions no longer exists. So what we build today can be built differently.
Well,
and better.
Listen, I think it's a tough thing, but that school was my school. I feel bad for everybody involved. I don't know how, I wasn't there. I don't know how callous these girls were, but kids are kids, and sometimes there's fights and stuff, and I don't think anybody, again, I'm just assuming. I can't believe that anybody wants anybody to die, and I think that everybody's going to look. I tell you, how you fix it? You know how you fix it, Jeremy?
Yeah.
How about starting at school, have a Bible class?
How about?
And start looking at the Bible. 100%. Start talking about reading about Jesus Christ.
100%.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah.
They got this revival in Kentucky. Did you hear about it? They started this big thing at Liberty College.
Really?
And it's like people from all around the world are coming. It's like ridiculous, thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
If we've got people, especially youngsters like this wee girl, looking for hope in every direction, and we don't offer up God or Jesus, right?
Yeah.
That's on us, and that's the sort of stuff I'm saying.
Read the Bible.
We've got to do.
Read the Bible.
Public service announcements doesn't mean that you can't mention God or Jesus or Buddha or Mohammed. You know, I mean, no, like somebody.
Yeah.
But we got to help these kids.
Yeah. One more thing. We have a new segment here. I want to call it. It's called. It's
the
called
view at 30,000 feet.
Right. So the view. So, and I'm talking about how high up. So we're looking.
This is we didn't take a helicopter and fling Whoopi Goldberg all the way up 30,000 feet.
So
this is the wrong view.
So the people on the podcast, we have here Russia/China. So I just want to throw this out because I don't know if people are following this. You know, they got their daily lives. But yesterday, Biden just had a speech in Munich, and he basically said this: "We are whatever it takes, and as long as it takes, we're gonna be staying with Ukraine." Yeah. So let me reiterate that: as long as it takes, and as much as it takes. Now, what's it going to take? Now, in my opinion, what I read and what I think, it may take our jets, our troops. Okay, whether or not you think it's just or not is not the issue. The question is, what's going to happen there? And we've had other wars. We just got out of Afghanistan. But my era was Vietnam War. Before that was the Korean War, and before that was World War II. World War II was a different animal. That was an all-out struggle. I mean, we were bombing cities, and but let me make a point about Russia. You know what's right next to Russia?
What's that? China. Get out of town.
Yeah, it's about 1.5 billion people. They have tens of millions of troops. And I can tell you,
China's got no room to move in there.
No, let me tell you. Here's what I worry about, and this is why I talk about this. I look from above. I'm not getting into the politics. I'm not. I'm about peace. But all I remember is this: the Korean War. We invaded. It was North and South Korea.
Sure.
The North Koreans were going after the South Koreans. We invaded. We had a amphibian fleet.
We all watched MASH.
We pushed the North Koreans back up to China border. And what happened? That was MacArthur. The Chinese sent millions of Chinese down. And they pushed us all the way back to the 45th parallel. A lot of people died. Now the soldiers were unbelievable, brave. The Marines were unbelievable. But here's the thing: that was China. Now Vietnam War. Same shit. We were fighting the Chinese, even though the North Vietnam we were fighting, and the same shit. And both of those, I don't know if you want to say stalemate. I don't know what you want to say. And so now you are with Russia, which is, and they got as many nuclear weapons as us, which is very dangerous. And China now is supplying them with aid. And if they start supplying them with military stuff, okay, and then we up our game, they up their game, and then we throw troops in and planes, and then China puts, you're looking at, man, and then what if China makes a move on Taiwan? See, in other words, my point is all of this is that I don't know if these people, I guess they know what they're doing, but did MacArthur know what he was doing? Remember, Westmoreland, did Westmoreland know about Vietnam when we had the 10 offensive and then we realized it was all bullshit? My point being is, you got
to forgive Mike. Everybody, he's an ex-hippie.
Let me tell you. You know how you get rid of woke? It's called World War III. You know what they're going to do. And I tell all of these people, thank God for all these.
Drastic, don't you think, though, Mike?
No, I'm not. Because I tell you what, thank God for the 81 million people who voted for Biden. Thank God, because you know what? We wouldn't be in Ukraine right now fighting for democracy. And if it really, here's the thing, I'm all for it, man. If it really gets going, we'll get the draft back. We'll draft everybody, no matter who you are. Girl, boy, trans, you're all going to go, all right? Because we're going to need millions and millions of soldiers. And all of these refugees that are coming through the border, they're going to be like, what?
That picture.
They were 2 years ago, they were down in, Mexico, going, let's go up to New Jersey because you got free shit. And the next thing you know, they're carrying a rifle in friggin' Ukraine, getting shot at. They're like, we didn't.
Yeah, this isn't what we wanted. We're gonna have to jump another fence. Yeah.
And these kids here in this country think they're gonna say, oh, I'm just not gonna go. I'm gonna go to Canada or Mexico. Well, I tell you what, in World War II, you know what they did? Well, in Vietnam War, the people went to Canada. I don't know if they'll be able to do that this time. But in World War II, when they had they basically shot you. I mean, they shot people. They shot one guy for not going into, not fighting. So they bring back the draft. You got to go. You ain't gonna have, or you go to jail, or maybe they'll do a couple people, they'll shoot a couple people. So anyway, my point is that that's the 30,000. How about we do this? How about we try to for you and I? What do we want? We want peace.
Oh, peace.
Just like, remember with the Vietnam War with John Lennon, why don't you give peace a try? What was that song?
No, give peace a chance.
Give peace a chance.
Oh, that's
Can
all
you
we're
sing
saying, man. All we are saying.
There was
Give peace a chance.
Yeah, listen, there was riots and all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, that was I was young. I was probably, that was like 15, I was 12, 13, 14,
Where
15.
Where are you now, Yoko Ono?
Yeah.
When we need you most.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
That beautiful singing voice of yours.
Well, listen, I hope they know. I pray to God that these military people know what they're doing. But that, from my perspective, looking high up, I don't like what I see. So anyway, Jeremy, so the marijuana thing, the marijuana thing threw you. So you make a good point. I didn't think about that.
I mean,
is she? Here's the thing: does people know? And if they don't know, that they could smoke a couple days, and maybe have traces of marijuana on board.
Because when we're drinking, we know what our limit is. I can go about
two drinks within an hour.
Yeah.
Right, 2 hours.
But with marijuana, if she smoked it yesterday and she's driving tomorrow, she doesn't know.
No.
Nobody told her.
Right, and see, here's the thing about that. You don't have to be impaired. In other words, if you're not impaired, so even though you're impaired, so you're above the alcohol limit, but the guy blew through the red light. My example.
Yeah.
How did you if you were straight or sober, would you have been able to stop any sooner? Some people say yeah, but most likely you couldn't have done anything. So it's the matter of, if you're intoxicated, the assumption is you're impaired and maybe you could have done something. I don't see what you could have done. The guy blew through a red light. So there was a scenario, you've got a green light, he's got a red light, he's drunk, he goes through the red light, you T-bone him, you kill him. If you're straight, you're fine. If you have any marijuana or alcohol on board, you're going to get charged with vehicular manslaughter. It's as simple as that. So, I don't know.
So if you didn't hear it anywhere else, you at least heard it here.
Right, now you know.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jeremy, let's pack it in, huh?
All right, buddy.
So that's it. So, all right, guys, listen, thank you for tuning in. Let me get some music here. Hopefully we'll have another show. We're doing these now a little bit sooner, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, maybe we can do one on Saturday or something if you're free.
All right, listen, thank you very much, everyone. Make sure to check us out on our Rumble and Spotify, and where else we're everywhere. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter, Twitch. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Michael Kachmar. Have a nice evening. Bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye.